a number of interesting and varied career positions across the region, including working in Japan and then being in Singapore since 2013. From where you sit, what are the key learnings for Australia in its most recent push to become an innovation nation?
I think while there are many definitions of innovation, I think the important thing that we see from countries in Asia is that they focus primarily on the business need and then look to develop innovative solutions to meet those needs. There is something of a view that innovation is about having eureka moments, coming up with great ideas and then looking around for a practical application. I think what we've learned is that the successful companies of the future will be starting with the business need and then developing technologies, processes, systems, ideas that will meet that need. To give you one example, we've done a lot of work at looking at the needs of the workplace in Southeast Asia. And we've certainly seen that the need for greater workplace skills, especially as the manufacturing industries within the ASEAN countries, say, starts to grow, the issues of worker productivity are going to be a major hindrance to that growth unless they can be addressed. So it's one example of the sort of business need that can easily be met by innovative processes, innovative solutions, through training, through delivery mechanisms of different processes which haven't been done before. A really great example of an area begging for innovation.
How has Singapore changed since you've been in the position, and particularly in regards to the country's focus on investing and nurturing innovation?
Singapore has always looked to nurture innovation. Singapore is quite a remarkable place in the sense that it has known for a long time that it relies on two things to be successful. One is foreign investment, and the other is constantly staying ahead of the, if you like, the industrial profile of what's going on around it. So it early stages gets into appliances and then electronics, and it was motor cars, hard drives. Now it's getting more into advanced manufacturing, medical technology, asset management. So it does two things. It looks ahead to the industries that it does want to nurture and develop and grow, but also it jettisons the previous industries which are no longer providing the driver for growth that it's looking for. So if we look at where Singapore's at right now, I think over the 3 years I've been here, I've seen some quite remarkable investments, particularly from firms like Rolls-Royce that now produce the Trent engine here in Singapore. Their factory here represents Rolls-Royce's largest single investment anywhere. And to see the ecosystem that grows up around that, the skills development, the education program in schools highlighting the need for skill sets and then opportunities in those industries, the way an ecosystem of support businesses grow up around the sort of the queen bee, if you like, has been quite remarkable. I think most recently they released their RIE 2020 Master Plan document, which is an innovation policy statement. It's a 5-year master plan. RIE stands for Research, Innovation, Enterprise. So even there in the name, they're saying that research drives business. And it's identified key industries that it wishes to nurture, but more to the point is the intent behind it, and that is the investment that Singapore makes in innovation has to pay off. So how do you make sure that that investment ends up producing marketable products, marketable services that can benefit the Singapore economy? So there was a phase there where a lot of money was being spent and is being spent on innovation, on research, on development. Now the phase is to make sure that the efficiency of that process to contribute to Singapore's economy is maximised.
As a regional leader, what are the advantages and challenges that Australian businesses should be aware of when expanding into Asian markets such as Singapore?
I think there are many opportunities in this region, in the Asian region, for Australian companies. I feel that Australian companies export well to Asia, but do not go that next step. Over 50% of all Australia's outwards investment is in two countries, the United States and the United Kingdom. So while we have a strong presence in Asia, we seem to invest very little in these countries. When you see other countries, such as the United States, such as Japan, such as even the Netherlands, investing a great deal and building themselves beachheads in this part of the world, I think there are some lessons there to be learned for Australian companies. I think a lot of Australian companies could be much better educated and informed about how to operate, how to invest, how to embed themselves in Asian markets. I think the key thing to know about this part of the world is it is the fastest growing middle class in the world. Between now and 2030, it's expected to grow something like 6 times. So there are lots of opportunities there in the sense that as a middle class grows, the demands of that middle class become greater and more sophisticated around services, around education, around food. So high quality premium products, high-end protein products, these opportunities grow. Second, as these countries grow, they also age, and their needs for more sophisticated healthcare and wellness programs tend to grow as well. And that's something else that is an opportunity for Australia. And then thirdly, I suppose, as these countries develop, there is a natural desire within these countries to be doing much more themselves. So I think there's enormous opportunity for us to work in capacity building of the developing countries around this part of the world. Singapore is a very good example. Singapore's relationship with Australia in education has always been strong. The number of Singaporean students studying a degree in Australia now, though, is dropping. And that's quite understandable because Singapore has done so much to build their own education system. They've got very, very high-ranking universities now. They've got, a great richness of education options that is designed specifically to feed skill sets into the Singapore society. So it's quite natural for them that would come about. While there are less than 9,000 Singaporean students studying in Australia right now, though, there are 26,000 Singaporeans studying an Australian degree in Singapore right now. So that's just an example to say that the potential to help these countries fulfill their own ambitions, their own desires, build their own the societies that they want is really enormous.
Let's have a look at Austrade's role for a minute. How does the organisation help Australian businesses to make the transition as easy as possible into Southeast Asia and Singapore?
There are many ways that Austrade can help Australian companies get into markets in ASEAN. For a start, we have an extensive network in the region. We have multiple offices in Japan. We have multiple offices in China. We have multiple offices in India. We have offices in 8 of the 10 ASEAN countries, for example. And those offices do function as a network to make sure that when companies are looking to this part of the world, they're not just looking at individual markets, but they're getting an overall picture of where the opportunities for them could be across the region. We build very close networks and develop insights into what's going on in markets, and we feed that back to help Australian companies make some decisions about where to go. Something like 87% of all Australian exporters are SMEs, and so they have limited resources. I personally feel one of the most important things we do for companies is help them in the process of market selection, to actually start with the right market and make sure that the resources that they expend on that market give them the maximum payback. Through our network of contacts in markets, we help companies identify potential partners. to understand procurement processes with the various governments, look at major trends that are happening, which could be the growth of healthcare, the growth of the aviation industry across ASEAN, the increasing growth of the overall energy industry in ASEAN, and certainly the growth of the demand in premium foods in ASEAN, as examples of major trends which we try to capture. We try to communicate those down to Australian companies, but we also have extensive networks into those areas so that we can plug Australian companies into the appropriate decision maker for their business to help them build their markets in this part of the world.
We're here today as part of Gemstar Technologies' Singapore Trade Mission, and you've been a great support to Gemstar's own mission in helping to forge closer trade ties between Australia and Singapore. How did you first meet Gemstar, and how have you collaborated to date?
Gemma came up to the market some time ago, probably before she established Gemstar, with her own marketing and consulting business, and we talked a lot about what was going on in this part of the world, where the opportunities were, what the trends were. And I think it was becoming clear to her then that there is a lot of potential, not just for her own business, but for other Australian businesses to be able to get a foothold in this market, take advantage of these trends that we were seeing and that we were talking about. And I think this led to the current business model of identifying agile, new, innovative Australian companies, bring them up to the market, letting them see for themselves what's up here, letting them get a feel for themselves whether this is a sort of environment in which they can operate, giving them some contacts, giving them some context by briefings. We've also, for this last group of companies that are here in Singapore at the moment, we've also spoken to them about what investors in the region are looking for, and whether they themselves might be looking for investment from this part of the world, and for that matter, what they might have to do to make themselves investor ready. So we're trying to not only provide that market contact, but also looking at the overall health, the overall, if you like, journey to internationalisation of these companies that Gemstar are bringing up.